What's going on, Sports Wars? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost and GeeksGamers.com, and the U.S. women's soccer team is an absolute embarrassment to this country after disappointing at the Olympics because they decided to focus more on identity politics and woke virtue signaling than actually playing and representing their country. While kneeling for the national anthem, they still are going around and claiming that they are the victims, that we're not getting paid enough, it's not right. Even though, a judge ruled that they're actually being compensated far more than the men are. People have proven this. The U.S. women's national team gets compensated more than the men do. That is a fact. That's why this is not about equal pay. This is about some sort of equity that the women are actually looking for. Because when they are given the exact same deal as the men, they turn it down. They make it seem like it's a publicity stunt for some reason. Look at this headline. U.S. women's national team blasts U.S. soccer identical contract offer PR stunt as equal pay fight continues. It's not an equal pay fight. If it was an equal pay fight, they'd be campaigning for the men to be paid more. That's what it would actually be about because they receive better compensation strictly for their national team activities than the men do. Why is that? Of course, because they get a lot of other benefits. They get things like all this medical insurance. They get things like childcare. They get things like maternity leave. All of these different things that are associated with compensation, they get for playing for the U.S. national team. That's what the women get. The men don't get a lot of those things. The men have a different contract structure. You know why? Because they can actually go out and get jobs playing soccer in other ways because people actually care about watching men play soccer. The bottom line is that the women, even though the women's national team is better on the grand stage than the men, they simply don't bring in the money. There is not this big drive for the entire world to go watch women play soccer. That's why you have this disparity in how much people get paid for things like the World Cup. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. So when the national team, when U.S. soccer comes out and says, hey, we're just going to do identical contracts. That's what you guys want, right? You want equality. The U.S. women's national team says, no, it's a PR stunt. Look at what they tweeted out. This is the U.S. women's national team or U.S. women's national team players account, not even verified. Sad. USSF's PR stunts and bargaining through the media will not bring us any closer to a fair agreement. In contrast, we are committed to bargaining in good faith to achieve equal pay and the safest working conditions. The proposal they made to us recently does neither. And of course, someone replies, yeah, the U.S. women's national team players have never resorted to PR stunts and bargaining through the media. That's literally all they're doing. All they have done this entire time is complain using the media as a vehicle. People like Megan Rapinoe, the most unlikable bitch in sports, probably. Megan Rapinoe, who of course recently went to a gala, the Met Gala, that cost around $30,000 a ticket. She shows up there wearing "In Gay We Trust." Because that's just representing our country in the great way. Everybody loves Megan Rapinoe, right? What an absolute joke. This comes on the heels of something that Alex Morgan said. New contract must not cut existing compensation. And that is where the problem lies. Because like I said, they are getting compensated more than the men. So not only do they want all of these benefits and everything associated with being part of the national team that the men do not get, that they have an advantage over the men, but they want to get paid exactly the same. So they still want to get paid more than the men. That's what this is about. Look at the quote from Alex Morgan. We still need to chat about the statement given by U.S. Soccer, but any commitment to equal pay publicly is good. However, we need to look line by line at what they're actually providing. Because if you have equal, but it's not even what we got before, or to the value that we are, two different statements, then we still consider that to not be good enough. So they're not looking for equality. They just fucking admitted it. She said it right there. They're not looking for equality. They're looking to be paid more than they're worth. They're looking to be paid up to their worth, whatever the fuck that means. But we know that actually means more than they're worth. That's truly what that means from U.S. women's national team. And I wanted to show this, right? I wanted to show one of the reasons why they get paid a different amount. FIFA is a big part of this too, because U.S. women's national team does something, but FIFA, the actual structure for international football, they have a certain amount of money that they pay out for men and women, and it's different. Do you know why it's different? Because people do not show up the same way to watch women play that they show up to watch men play. Bottom fucking line. Look at from FIFA. They awarded $400 million in prize money for the 32 teams at the 2018 Men's World Cup, including $38 million to champion France. It awarded $30 million for the 24 teams at the 2019 Women's World Cup, including $4 million to the United States. Right? Under their labor contract, the men got $55,000 each for making the 2014 World Cup, then split the $4.3 million for earning 4 points in the group stage, right? They did not do much in the World Cup. But with all of those things, they ended up getting $187,000 per player. Because the women had a different contract structure and they got a payout for winning the World Cup. $862,000 for making the roster and $2.53 million for winning. It came to a little under $150,000 per player. So they got paid less per player for that World Cup appearance, for winning it, than the men did just qualifying that. That has everything to do with FIFA and how much FIFA awards people. That has nothing to do with even the U.S. women or the U.S. national team in general. That is FIFA. And they decided that their structure would be a certain way so they could get all these benefits. That's what the women wanted. Look at what the judge said when they dismissed this lawsuit way back in the day. I'm so tired of this shit because people actually think they're not getting paid as much. Look at this. In dismissing the women's claim that they are paid less for the same work, Clauser pointed the difference in structure of the men's and women's contracts to which they agreed in collective bargaining. This is from the court case. The women's national team rejected an offer to be paid under the same pay-to-play structure as the men's did. And the U.S. women's national team was willing to forgo higher bonuses, like we just talked about, the higher bonus for the World Cup stuff, for other benefits, such as greater base compensation and guarantee of higher number of contracted players. Accordingly, plaintiffs cannot now retroactively deem their CBA worse than the men's by reference to what they would have made had they been paid under the men's when they themselves rejected that. These people are fake victims. These people are full of shit. People like Megan Rapinoe, people like Alex Morgan, these people that are at the forefront of this quote-unquote equal pay garbage, it is a farce. Look at their reaction to being offered the same contract. They're saying, we want equal pay. Hey, here's the same exact contract that the men have. No, that's a PR stunt. These people are lunatics. They don't actually want equal pay. They want equity. That is what they are looking for. And sorry to say, when you lose to 15-year-old boys, when you're the best in the world, but you lose to 15-year-old boys, that goes to show why people are willing to actually pay and go see men play, vice women. We see the same thing in nearly every avenue of sporting events. There's a couple outliers. I would say gymnastics is an outlier. Figure skating, something like that's an outlier. Maybe for a period of time, women's tennis, when Serena Williams was dominating, things like that. But overall, we see the same thing in almost all sports. People want to show up and watch men compete and men play. That's the bottom line. And you're going to bitch and moan and play victim, but at the end of the day, you're wrong. You've been proven wrong in a court of law. You're still wrong now, but you still want to be the victims. And because you're so focused on this, you end up underperforming on the biggest stage and embarrassing the fuck out of this country. Congratulations, women's national team. Everybody hates you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.